This is BS with Joe. News, culture, and crazy. One blunt conversation at a time. Polk County, Florida. 9 days, 255 arrests. A sheriff working side by side with ICE and Homeland Security to take down a human trafficking ring that has stretched across 12 states. That's what happens when local and federal law enforcement work together, legally. Now, fast forward to Chicago, doors blasted open, families caught in the middle of a federal raid, 37 arrests, but here's the question echoing through that city tonight. Were there judicial warrants, or did due process get kicked down right along with those doors? Let's start where the story still makes some sense. Polk County, Florida. Operation Fool Around and Find Out, Sheriff Grady Judd teamed with ICE, HSI, the FBI, and a half a dozen NGOs. 255 suspects off the street, 30 criminal aliens flagged for deportation, 4 confirmed trafficking victims offered full services. That's cooperation at its best.
Yeah, I gotta give it up to Florida on theirs. For the name alone, F around and find out, or fool around and find out.
Yeah.
You don't know, people hear ICE and they shut down.
Yeah.
They picture raids, not rescues.
Right. That's why this story matters, though, because when it's done right, partnership saves lives. Florida's anti-sanctuary law made sure the sheriff, the feds, and the courts could work as one team, one fight. Now, head north to Chicago, you find the mirror image. Operation Midway Blitz, some federal agencies, same goal. Take down the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, but this time the aftermath looked different.
When agencies don't cooperate, a lot of information is not shared correctly. You know, I saw those clips, helicopters, flashbangs, the whole apartment building hit, and no one ever showed a warrant.
Exactly. Eyewitnesses say U.S. citizens were detained, kids were terrified, property was destroyed. If those warrants do exist, they're sealed. If they don't, that's a constitutional mess waiting to happen. And the government's got about a week left to prove it filed the paperwork. Here's the legal side. The Fourth Amendment protects every person on American soil, citizen or not, from unreasonable searches and seizures. A building-wide raid without individual warrants is textbook unlawful search.
But they caught real criminals, Joe. Gang members, traffickers. That's the point, right?
True, but the law doesn't vanish just because the target is ugly. The Fifth Amendment guarantees due process for all persons. No paperwork, no probable cause, no process. That's not enforcement, that's violation. And if that wasn't enough, looking south again to Florida, Sheriff Marco Lopez, arrested by the FBI for allegedly running an illegal gambling ring while wearing the badge.
Florida's not always innocent, but at least we're trying to shine the light where there's crime.
Right.
That's the one who texts the casino owner saying, when I win, you'll bet on your sheriff.
That's the same one. A badge for sale and a sheriff's office used as a front. And to that, add to that a wave of Border Patrol officers busted for taking cartel bribes. Even good law enforcement gets stained when the shield turns dirty.
Right.
So here's the bigger picture. Florida's model encourages cooperation with ICE. One playbook, one chain of command. But in cities like Chicago, Portland, Los Angeles, sanctuary rules block that cooperation.
Right. The idea is to keep immigrant communities from being afraid of local cops. I think it's more than that, but go ahead.
Sure. But traffickers exploit those gaps. ICE detainers get ignored, violent offenders walk, and victims stay trapped. Predators go where enforcement is weakest. That's not compassion, that's neglect. You know, Brad, we've spent half this show walking a line between justice and overreach, and you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that you're going to stay neutral again, and you always do. You can't pick a side.
It's not about sides. It's about journalism. And I'm not a journalist, but I still owe people the truth. And the truth doesn't need my bias on top of it.
You mean your rule?
Yeah, leave the bias in the bedroom, bring honesty to the mic.
One day I'm dragging that bias out into the daylight.
Then I'll deadbolt the door.
Oh.
So where does that leave us? Two paths. If warrants exist and remain sealed, at least the operation had legal footing, but the tactics need explaining. If there were no warrants at all, then this becomes the largest constitutional scandal since Ruby Ridge. Either way, accountability doesn't stop at the gang members. It runs up the chain.
So we wait for the court clock to hit 10 days. If there's a seal order, fine. If there's silence, the silence says everything.
In Polk County, cooperation saved victims and took predators off the street. In Chicago, division may have broken trust and possibly the law. That's the line we walk as a nation, between order and overreach. Cooperation delivers justice, division breeds decay. And the rule of law only stands when everyone from trafficker to trooper plays by it.
That's Cooperate or Collapse. We'll see you next time.
And remember, leave the bias in the bedroom. Bring honesty to the mic.
I'm not going into that bedroom. This is BS with Joe. Leave a comment, like, share, subscribe.